Welcome to the show, Dr. Hayley Stainton. So, Hayley, we're really excited to have you on the show. We're really excited to hear more about the tourism teacher that you initiated. So, but first, because we're luxury here, we've done a little bit of our research. We know a little bit more about you, but there might be some of our viewers here. Maybe you can give them a little bit of a rundown about who is Dr. Hayley Stainton.
Sure. I love travel and tourism. I live and breathe travel, always have. And I decided to study travel and tourism at college and then at university, then for masters and PhD. I just clearly couldn't stop. And then I've done lots more research since then. Alongside all of my research, I've been teaching travel and tourism to college students and university students. So I've got years of experience that I've built up in the classroom. Lots and lots of materials, lots of knowledge of different areas. I've taught all sorts of things from sustainable tourism to marketing to writing business plans and all sort of corners of the travel and tourism industry. And then I had 2 children, and obviously childcare commitments and everything. I decided to step out of the classroom, and we have now relocated from the UK to China. So I live in a city called Hangzhou. That is the size of London, but nobody's ever heard of it.
Have you heard of it? Includes the host. I haven't heard of it either. Please tell us more.
Hangzhou is a beautiful city in China. It's actually one of the postcard places, believe it or not. Okay. There's kind of the Great Wall, the Bund in Shanghai, and then there's Hangzhou, which is famous for its West Lake. So it's a rapidly growing city. They build a story a week on sort of high-rise buildings here. It's incredible. The landscape just changes before your eyes. But it's very beautiful because it's very green. So it's not your typical association with China, which might be kind of lots of concrete and built-up areas. They've done something which is called a sponge city here. So it's an architectural design where they implement green areas and nature within the concrete infrastructure of a city.
I love it.
So all of the roads are lined with flowers and there are trees everywhere. It's a very beautiful place. Mm-hmm. So we relocated here 2 years ago, just before COVID hit. And I've always had a travel blog. I wasn't really sure which direction I was going in. I was just kind of dabbling with it over the years. And then once I was outside of formal work and I was home with the children, I decided actually I've got all this knowledge from the last few years. And in the day and age that we live in, a lot of people, they don't necessarily want to sit there and look through the contents page or the index of a book. Mm-hmm. People like to Google and get the answers to their questions, and video as well is, more popular than it's ever been. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to disrupt the traditional academic approach to teaching travel and tourism. I'm going to take it out of the classroom and put it on videos and put it on blog posts. So that's what I've been doing for the last couple of years. It was officially launched just over a year ago now, but I was obviously it was in the process for a while before that. Yeah. The website does really, really well. I tend to get 200, maybe 300,000 views a month, which I'm really happy about. And I've recently launched my YouTube channel as well. So I'm trying to make learning the theory behind travel and tourism fun, interesting, but not only for students, but also for people who are traveling the world, because, sustainability has never been more important. Well, it's always been important, but it's never been highlighted, and we've not been as aware of it as much as we are nowadays. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are looking to be better travelers and to learn how they can better their behavior when they are traveling. So my work hopefully will educate people in that regard as well. So it's not people who are only people who are formally writing essays and things. It's anyone who wants to learn more about travel and tourism.
Wow. I love your story. I do. I really do enjoy your story. I mean, the one thing when we were looking through everything was it's such a diverse, and you have taken, from what I'm gathering, from what I'm looking at, and I hope everyone does look at the websites and the information we've been posting while you've been speaking, is to follow up with Hayley on all the stuff that she has. You got so much information on your website.
I spend a lot of time.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing we were looking at is not only are you with your website and your blogging and your lectures, but you also do lecture seminars, keynote presentations, webinars, online courses, motivational talks. I mean, you step outside of the webosphere, and you do a lot of that motivational talks and lecturing. You cover topics, like you said, sustainability, volunteer tourism. I know that's dear to your heart, is the volunteer tourism and work vacations and that sort of thing. So the number one thing, and I hope I'm right on this, is that the number one love in your life is your new project, Tourism Teacher, which you touched on, that you just launched. So maybe can you tell our viewers a little bit about that? And we'll be sharing the web address so everyone can check it out.
Yes, so the websites are obviously tourismteacher.com. So I've got as I say, lots of educational articles for people who are studying travel and tourism, also people who are working in the industry and they want to perhaps enhance their profit margins or to be more sustainable, etc. So it can be useful for them. Whilst I do think the general travel blogger market is largely quite saturated, I do still really enjoy writing up about my travels. So I just published an article yesterday, for example, all about traveling in Guilin. And Guilin is one of the most beautiful places in the world. But again, many people have never heard of it. And when I posted pictures of Guilin saying I'm going to this place on my Instagram, because I do lots of Instagram stories, lots of people thought it was Halong Bay in Vietnam.
No way.
I thought that was just so interesting because, Halong Bay's on water and Guilin is not, to start. I can see there are similarities, but I enjoy teaching people what I learn about traveling and the best things to do and places to go, especially in China. The tourism market is largely domestic here, and not really that many people speak English. So a lot of the information isn't in English.
Okay.
So I do feel like I'm kind of helping people when I write this stuff as well, because I find out, and I really do have to dig to find this information and translate things, and then I put it out there in English. So hopefully that's quite helpful to people.
Yep. And that takes a lot of research, right?
I spend a lot of time researching.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So then a little thing that came off of this Tourism Teacher is your Tourism Teacher tribe. I gotta ask about that. You gotta tell us about your tribe.
So what I found was that there were lots of travel and tourism teachers who were sending me messages and saying, thank you so much for writing these articles. It's really helpful. My students really love it. But do you have something I can use in class? So over the years, I've obviously built up a huge bank of resources. So I took about 2 months out of my life, all day, every day. And I took a lot of these resources and I was playing around with them, editing them, rewriting them for the purposes of this. So what it is it's a membership program, and teachers can subscribe and they get access to more than 1,000 travel and tourism teaching resources that they can then use in their own classrooms. So that's PowerPoint presentations, activities, worksheets, workbooks, case studies, all sorts of things like that. All different levels, so from sort of the most basic level that you might do at school through to sort of master's level stuff, maybe even some PhD stuff, because I supervise PhD students as well. Sorry, my daughter.
We got music.
Yeah, so people can sign up to that. There's also a few extra. Most people want the teaching resources, but I also have in there a guest speaker directory, so people can get extra speakers for their classes, work experience opportunities, and contacts for that. So it hopefully is a valuable resource to people. And traditionally, you would kind of buy from an awarding body maybe some resources, and it would cost a lot of money. And yes, they'd be high quality, but you wouldn't get very much, and you'd still have to spend a lot of time doing your own preparation. Whereas because I've given people such a huge bank of resources, and I add new resources every month too. So if there's something people are looking for, I will create something for them and add it, and then it's there for everyone to use. So this is different from any of the existing models because people have a huge amount of resources they can access, and they can literally just pick it up and run with it if they want to, which hopefully saves people lots of time in planning and preparation, etc.
Yeah. And so if I am a tourism teacher, I fill out applications, just sign up to a mailing list. How do I become part of that?
Yeah, so it's on the website. So there's, if you click on Teach, which is one of the tabs on the top, then you'll see Tourism Teacher Tribe, and it gives you all the information of what's included and what you get for being a member. And then you literally just click sign up. It's
Perfect.
£89 a year, and you can cancel at any time.
Okay.
And yeah, so far we've got quite a lot of members. I've had excellent feedback. So going good.
I like it. So everyone who's watching, we've been putting that up on the screen. You can check it out. And we have to talk. Another thing, when I was doing my poking around, another thing we're going to have to talk about is, and I hope I say this right, the TEFL Tourism, TEFL Tourism. If people out there, it's TEFL, and we'll put it up on the screen here. The concept was, it's your baby. It was in 2017. You launched this. And it only makes sense that I could see, with the way that the Canadians are, with the seminars and the public speaking we do, the impression we're getting. There's a lot of Canadians that are very interested in what you offer in this program, especially as an educational year, if they want to take a gap year and go travel. I would love you if you could give us a little bit of an explanation of your TEFL Tourism, just for you there that want to search it. And I believe the acronym is pronounced TEFL. Could you tell us a little bit about this, please?
Yes. So TEFL Tourism, as you pointed out, was kind of born in 2017, and that was the result of my PhD. Okay. So TEFL stands for Teaching English as a Foreign Language. And the backstory of that is that as I said, I went into teaching many years ago after I finished university. But I didn't want to stay in the UK. I wanted to travel. So I decided to go and become a TEFL teacher in Thailand.
Okay.
And when I was there, I did the whole training with lots of other people the people I trained with were not qualified teachers as I was. They had never been in the classroom before, so it was all new to them. And what I noticed was that it really wasn't, teaching TEFL in another country, or in Thailand, wasn't the same in terms of the pressure and the expectations as it was in the UK. And actually it wasn't so, so I came back and I wanted to look at, really, is it a career, or is it actually a way of funding your travels, or is it somewhere in the middle? So that's what I looked into, and I developed a typology, and I looked at who are the different types of people who are going to teach English abroad. And I found that there are different types. Some people want to get their experience and put it on their CV, but a lot of people are actually more tourists than they are teachers. And that doesn't mean that they don't take their teaching seriously, but actually their main motive is to save up money to travel, to experience living in another country, especially somewhere like Thailand, where obviously there is a lot that appeals to tourists and the sort of backpacker market, etc. So TEFL Tourism really is when you're combining the travel and the tourism element, so going to the beaches and the full moon parties and exploring the streets of Bangkok or whatever, with teaching. And this is a great way, and I often say this to the students that I give talks to. TEFL Tourism is a great way to spend a summer or to spend a gap year, because it's something you can put on your CV. It looks good on your CV. It's a great experience. You get to live and work abroad, and ask anyone who's had the chance to do that. They will say, it had lasting impacts on them, etc. And it's so much fun. So I would highly recommend, and you don't have to go to Thailand. Obviously, there are many different places you can go. Here in China, the salaries are pretty high, so people come over here and do it, and they go back to the UK and they've got enough to put down a deposit on a house. Go to Thailand, the money's not so great, but you're probably right by the beach, or you're in a rural area and you've got, mopeds to ride around and temples to visit, etc. So it depends what you're looking for, but it's a great thing, especially for a sort of gap year activity for people to do.
And the knowledge and the experience you learn is you can't beat that. You just can't beat it, right?
Absolutely. And you learn so much more than just learning to teach. It's not only for people who want to be teachers. You learn so many different transferable skills that you can use in different aspects of your life.
I've said for the longest time that who I am today is because of all my travels I did through my life, and I still stand by that. I think you're become more mature, you become more knowledgeable, And I think you become more ethical also in the way that you conduct yourself. So I think there's so many benefits to try. I'm bang on with that. I wish I knew about this program. That would have been great. But still, the benefits are phenomenal, right?
Yeah. And there are so many companies that offer you like a kind of package.
Yep.
Now, so they make it so easy. These companies will put you in touch with the other people on your course. They'll provide accommodation, food. They'll get you the job in the school. They'll do everything for you. So it's dead easy.
Yeah. How has COVID affected the programs?
Well, obviously, people haven't been able to travel around, and lots of countries haven't been allowing people in. Here in China, it's extraordinarily difficult to get into the country right now.
Yeah.
So there is a massive demand for teachers in China.
Okay.
I expect that is the case across much of Asia, because not many countries in Asia have been letting people in at all. So certainly in this region, I think it's probably pretty much come to a halt, as has most tourism.
Yeah.
Tourism in Europe is looking positive at the moment. Travel's moving around a lot more there, so I expect to see tourism there to kind of rebound before maybe in Asia. But it will come back.
Yep, it'll come. I think everything's gonna be coming back in stages, and unfortunately we do need a new playbook in tourism because of everything that's happening. It's crucial that we can't go back to the old playbook, because that shows just how all the cracks have shown in how we do things. So I'm hoping we've learned something as an industry. I really am. You read about, I was so happy when I was looking around to find your story on the Canada with a baby bump. Yeah. Hit a little bit of home turf, did you?
What was this one?
Yeah. You visited where we were born on Vancouver Island. You went to Whistler, Barrier, Valemont, Jasper, Banff, Lake Louise, Golden, Calgary. All of them are a big part of our business. So we've been to all of them. So I really love the mix. You did urban and you did small town, so you got a good taste of Canadiana. As a tourism teacher, what did you observe in our small towns and urban centers, looking through your tourism lens?
I thought Canada was an absolutely wonderful place to travel. There was such a nice mix. As you say, I did sort of towns and countryside areas, lakes, mountains. We had it all in there.
Yeah.
What I loved about Canada is that you've got a well-established tourism industry and things work, which isn't always the case everywhere in the world. But at the same time, it's not overdeveloped. And that's one of the things, here in China, the over-tourism is just incredible. You can't understand it unless you've experienced the crowds and the sheer numbers. And there was none of that. No, where I went when I was in Canada, and I was in Whistler during I forget the name of the event, a big biking event.
Oh, they're mountain biking, Crankworks, I think it's called.
Yes, Crankworks. Yeah, and that was a complete accident. We didn't mean to be there at that time at all. I was quite disappointed I couldn't get involved because I was pregnant. I just got to watch the GoPro footage afterwards. But even at a major event like that, everything just seemed to be really well organized. It seemed to just work and run. I didn't see any issues. While we were there, there'd been a lot of forest fires, and I found that really sad to see, because we obviously did a road trip, so we hired a car, and just sort of driving down the roads and seeing that damage was very upsetting.
Yes.
But it wasn't something that inflicted on us negatively in any way. It was a little bit smoky a couple of days, but I think it was all very well handled by the government and the people in Canada at the time that we were there.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that I love about traveling, is just kind of experiencing the country and seeing what it has to offer beyond what's in your hotel.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think a lot of people are moving towards now. And as consumers, we are looking for more niche sort of forms of tourism, more sort of community-based tourism, local experiences. In Canada, we stayed in Airbnbs all the way along. So we stayed in a high-rise apartment in Calgary and a beautiful log cabin on Vancouver Island, I think it was.
Was that Vancouver Island or Sunshine Coast? Do you remember?
I'm not sure.
Oh yeah.
Whatever I booked was not what I thought. Because we had to go over lots of rivers and put the car on a boat and things like this, and I did not know that. I just looked up on Google Maps and it looked okay.
Yeah.
So, that was a bit of a shock when we got there. So that was a bit of a change to our plan, but it was lovely because it wasn't full of tourists. It was the kind of place where you might go for a walk and you genuinely might just see a bear stroll past you. It was so natural and so lovely.
Yeah. Adventure tourism in this country is so big. I mean, that's our sort of our niche here, is from our coast to coast to coast. And we have so much, and that's why when one of your topics when I was reading was sustainability, that sort of struck a chord, because we're also on that sort of foothold where we believe you can have tourism, but you can have responsible, sustainable tourism. That's just sort of and that's what I really liked about it. In Canada, we're very fortunate that way, because what is it, about I think 75% of our population is 200 kilometers away from the US-Canada border, and everything above that,
wow,
you saw it, there's nothing there. It's beautiful, green forest, lakes, rivers, wildlife. We're one of the few countries that still have the roaming wildlife, free roaming wildlife. So it's pretty cool. Next time before you come, give us a shout. We'll tell you some real secret dandies that you'll be blown away about. So
next time I come, I would like it to be winter so that we can go skiing.
Yeah, definitely. And then get some dog sledding in.
Yeah, kids would love that.
Yeah, they would love that. Maybe you touched a little bit about it, but was there anything in particular during your road trip? The highlights, what sort of things really sunk in, and what were some of the highlights that you had during your long road trip there?
I think the highlights for me was just kind of experiencing the nature, which is one of the major reasons a lot of people do the road trips like that, but also experiencing authentic Canadian life and culture. And we, as I say, we stayed in Airbnbs all the way. Sorry, she's very chatty.
It's okay.
Yeah, we stayed in Airbnbs, so we were very much part of the community, going to the local supermarket, playing in the local playgrounds, because I've got an older daughter, and so we had a toddler with us at the time. And I felt really immersed in the culture and the life there, and I thought that was really wonderful. Mm-hmm. And small things like my daughter, she was 2, just turned 2, and we went to the supermarket, and they had tiny little trolleys that she could push around. We had never seen this before. This was new to us. We don't have this in the UK. So little things like that you don't think about when you're planning a trip.
Isn't that the best thing about going to the country? Are these little weird things you find along the way?
Yeah. And my daughter loves looking at those pictures when she filled up the trolley with cookies.
And here we are, we take it for granted, and something like that is a memory, eh? It's just beautiful how tourism works that way.
Yeah.
The new traveler trends are developing, as both you and I both know. Ethical tourism, it's now becoming top of mind. Sustainable tourism is now becoming top of mind. It's gaining momentum. People are, not only are the travelers becoming a little bit more conscious, but we're also seeing the industry itself, where some of the accommodations are now getting a little bit more conscious of it, on how they reuse, recycle, replace. So but we all know the tourism industry, as you have kindly said previously, it's been devastated. I mean, we can't really say it any other way. It has been devastated here in Canada anyways. And from what I'm getting from our guests, it's pretty much a global thing. So what challenges of our tourism recovery should the industry be preparing for in your research and in your view?
I feel like I've got quite a unique perspective on this, actually, because
we like that. We like unique.
Living in China, there hasn't really, and I don't know how much your viewers know about this actually, but there hasn't really been any COVID here since March 2020. They had a super strict lockdown. I wasn't actually here at the time because a lot of the foreigners fled because everything was closed. It was extraordinarily strict. People were sort of had tape over their apartments, so you'd know if they left. It was very, very strict, but that resulted in life returning to normal. And in April 2020, all the schools were back open, and by sort of May, June, cinemas and things like that were open. And now we're obviously a year down the line from that. So for the last year, I've had the opportunity to be traveling around China. I've been to Disney in Shanghai. We went to Harbin, the ice festival at Christmas, and minus 30-degree temperatures there. That was quite a unique experience.
Yeah.
We went to Guilin and Yangshuo at Easter. We've been to Chengdu. We've been to Sanya, which is like the Hawaii of China, for those who don't know. So I've traveled a lot around China, and we're actually leaving on Saturday, and we're doing Beijing, Inner Mongolia, the Silk Road, and then back to Sanya for a bit of beach time. So I've traveled a lot in the last year, and I feel like we're almost here in China a little bit ahead of the rest of the world. And hopefully you will follow suit very soon, and international tourism can open up again. But here, domestic tourism has been higher, I believe, than it was in 2019. And the tourism industry has been absolutely booming. And I keep hearing people say, tourism's never going to be the same. So many things are going to change. And certainly I think some things will change, you know, like after 9/11 and they implemented sort of testing liquids at the airports, that's never gone away. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's absolutely logic in keeping the sort of the scanners that check your temperature, because you don't want people who are sick, whether it's COVID or something else on a flight, really. Yeah. Definitely not ideal. So I think some things will stay. But actually things have just pretty much gone back to normal. The crowds, there's no social distancing here. The crowds are incredible. You have to wear masks on trains and things, but they always like to wear masks in China anyway. So people don't view that as an inconvenience in any way here. In fact, they feel that's a security thing. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that yes, I think some places are saying that they've got extra hygiene and health protocols, but largely things look pretty much like they did in 2019. So I think that the rest of the world will follow suit. And I definitely think that people have become more aware of things like sustainability and ethical travel. People have embraced outdoors a bit more. People are now more conscious that they want to maybe not be in so many crowds and sort of go climb that mountain instead of going to the busy shopping street or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I think we will see more rural tourism, more outdoor tourism. I think we will see less group tours, and people will want to travel a little bit more independently. But that's kind of sort of travelers' choices, really. In terms of the industry itself, here in China, it doesn't really look much different. So I think that initially, obviously, as we ease ourselves back into travel, things aren't going to be the same. But unfortunately, people have short memories, and I want the sort of a focus on sustainability, etc., to remain. And as you pointed out before, I really, you know, I'm sure we all really hope that's the case. Yeah. But I do fear that people have short memories. Profit often takes priority, and people forget. Yeah. Yep. So it will be interesting to see where the world is at in maybe 5 years' time, when hopefully all of this is a distant memory. Mm-hmm. It doesn't look a great deal different.
Yeah, I wish we could say that here in Canuckland. We don't have. We just opened up our provincial and our territory so we could travel within that actually 3-4 days ago. So and I don't know if you get the news over there, but between U.S. and Canada, we're still arguing over opening the borders, and I can see there's a lot of good reasons for both sides. The U.S. has a whole different take on COVID, and it's scary to us, to tell you the truth. So, you know, we'll see where it goes. So is there, before we let you go, Hayley, is there anything that you would like to share, or anything we've missed maybe that you would like to cover before we let you go?
I just think, you know, to anyone listening, don't forget about this sort of hardship. I know it's easy to say that now. But you know, it's so easy to just get back into normal life and get back into your routine. But remember the things that are important, and, you know, embracing travel in a more sustainable way, and thinking about who you're booking, you know, your trips through, money leaking out of the country. Try and spend your money local. A lot of these things that we've learned during lockdown, or have been highlighted during lockdowns around the world, I think we can just carry that on. And I think it's important that we do, if we want to keep the industry sustainable and, you know, protect the things that we're going to see, the environment, etc.
Yeah.
You're quite good at, I believe, in Canada, but that's not necessarily the case everywhere in the world.
I also think with Canada, because of the way that we look at our greenery and our nature, I think our bar is higher too. I think a lot of us have a really high bar, and I think it should be. Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, well, thank you very much, Hayley, for joining us here on the A-Travel Talk Show. For all our viewers there, we've been putting up Hayley. She's available to get a hold, and please connect with her. She's on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and you can also find her on her website that we've been posting up, tourismteacher.com. So again, Dr. Hayley Stainton, thank you very much for joining us here in Canada. We wish you well. We wish you best continued travels and adventures. And I hope we can see you back at some time again and hear an update on your research and on your tourism teacher venture.
Thank you very much for having me.
Bye-bye.